Hello, this is Dennis Fisher with Michigan Sugar. In place of this week's crop update, I thought I'd do a little video on Rhizoctonia root rot. So we're starting to see some rhizoc show up in some fields. In general, it hasn't been very bad. It's maybe showing up a little earlier this season than last season. So rhizoc usually, our first symptoms of rhizoc are generally above ground symptoms, and we see a wilting of plants. So quite often it's a beets in a length of row. You can see these beets have wilted and died. It generally starts with the outer leaves will start to wilt and dry up sooner than the center leaves stay greener. The petiole will often turn black. That's a sign of rhizoc. These are pretty far along and pretty much dead. At this stage, it gets really tough to diagnose what root disease it is. It could be whether it's rhizoc, fusarium, Phanomyces. It often becomes a disease complex where we could have all three of those root diseases in being affected. So what I like to do is when I'm trying to determine what disease it is, I'll go back to the nearest healthy plant. So this plant looks pretty healthy. Wouldn't think it has any rhizoc symptoms, but I pulled this one out in another spot. And this is although this one looked healthy too, no above ground leaves are healthy, all green tissue. When you dig that beet, and you can see there's some scarring here. So we have some black scarring on the outer surface of the root. When you cut that beet open, there's some black tissue here and here, and that's often a sign of rhizoc. Rhizoc's kind of a dry rot, so it doesn't have a lot of moisture in it. And the other thing about rhizoc, it's usually a pretty defined line between the infected tissue and the non-damaged tissue. So in this situation, judging by these symptoms, I would say that these dead beets and injured beets was probably caused by Rhizoctonia root rot. So at this point of the season, there's not a lot you can do about rhizoc. The best way to manage rhizoc is variety selection, crop rotation, quadris applications, both at planting and in a band. At this stage of the season, there's just not a lot we can do. If you're spraying fungicides for Cercospora and Alternaria leaf spot, Proline may have some activity, so you could use Proline or a product containing Proline, such as Delaro has Proline in it, and so does Probalts. Both of those have Proline in it along with Proline, so that may give you some activity. So if you're seeing some rhizoc and you're out spraying for leaf spot, you could use a Proline product, a product with Proline in it or Proline. And also sometimes we'll apply some foliar applications of quadris at this stage of the season as well. Quadris isn't going to do a lot for Cercospora leaf spot. It does seem to pick up some Alternaria leaf spot, but it may be worthwhile to try if you're dealing with some rhizoc to use one of those products to help limit the disease. But once again, not a lot we can do at this stage of the season. So that's all I have on rhizoc for today. Thanks.